Hello class and Professor Guzman, my name is Caitlin Bigman and my research topic is on kin selection. And in order to understand it, we must discuss Darwinism. Darwin's theory of natural selection stated that mammals are able to adapt to their environment easier if they have specific traits. Due to these traits, the mammals are able to produce more offspring and the characteristics are passed down. However, some animals do not engage in this behavior. They prefer to devote their lives to helping others in their same species to survive and reproduce. This concept is called altruism. Altruism is a behavior that benefits other individuals at the expense of the altruist. The fitness of the altruist is diminished by its behavior, whereas individuals that act selfishly benefit from altruism at no cost to themselves. Altruistic behavior is not favored in natural selection. However, because these animals are only helping their kin who also carry the same altruistic gene, this allows natural selection to occur. An example of altruism is when vampire bats regurgitate blood and donate it to other members of their group who have failed to feed that night, ensuring they do not starve. Direct fitness is the number of offspring produced that have survived, and indirect fitness is the act of an individual that increases the fitness of their relatives. Inclusive fitness is the relationship between direct fitness and indirect fitness. Inclusive fitness typically results in a lower amount of direct fitness due to altruism. The amount of relatives animals can save offset the amount of direct fitness they have lost. In 1864, the founder of kin selection, William D. Hamilton, created a rule that explains which conditions altruism is expected to evolve. Hamilton's rule explains kin selection and predicts that specific behavior evolves under different combinations of relatedness, benefit, and cost. In Hamilton's rule, R is relatedness, which is multiplied by B. B is how many more offspring was produced due to altruistic behavior, also considered a benefit to the recipient. Both of these are greater than C. C is how many fewer direct offspring is produced, also known as the cost to the altruist. To understand this formula, you must understand relatedness. R is the coefficient of relatedness. Let us look at the chart I made to explain relatedness. The level of relatedness for a parent or direct offspring would be 0.5. For a full sibling, it would be 0.5. For half siblings, it would be 0.25. And for cousins, it would be 0.125. Now, let us use this material in an actual problem. For example, if an animal saves 5 of their half siblings but loses 2 of their own children, their R would be 0.25, because that is the relatedness of half siblings. Their B would be 5, because that is how many people were saved, which equals 1.25. The C would be 0.5, because that is the relatedness of direct offspring multiplied by 2, because that is how many of their children were lost. C would be 0.5 times 2, which equals 1. Even though the animal lost 2 of their own children, altruism would still evolve because 5 of their half-siblings being saved resulted in 1.25, which is greater than 1. Let us try another example, but this time altruism would not evolve. Let us look at the formula to understand this problem. If an animal saves 3 of their cousins but loses 2 of their own children, their R would be 0.125, because that is the relatedness of their cousins. Their B would be 3 because that is how many people were saved. 0.125 times 3 equals 0.375. The C would be 0.5 because that is the relatedness of direct offspring multiplied by 2, because that is how many of their children were lost. In this example, altruism would not evolve because 0.375 is less than 1. Now, let us discuss kin selection in the animal kingdom. The Belding ground squirrel is a mammal that exemplifies altruistic behavior and kin selection. The squirrels all typically eat with one another. However, there is another squirrel looking for predators. They are called sentry. When this squirrel spots a predator, it sends out an alarm to alert the other squirrels to run away. This squirrel is putting itself in danger by sending out the alarm because the predator will be able to find it easier. Female squirrels are typically on sentry duty more than males. This is because squirrels live in colonies, and it is common for the males to leave while the women stay. This results in the female squirrels sharing their genes with most of the other squirrels in their colony, which means the other squirrels have the gene that influences them to sound off their alarm. Even though the sentry squirrel will most likely die, that squirrel is saving their relatives that also carry the gene. Additionally, this relates to inclusive fitness because the sentry squirrel loses its direct fitness but increases its indirect fitness, which allows altruistic behavior to continue. Another example of kin selection is the relationship between bees and the queen bee. The queen bee produces the egg, and the other bees that live in the hive work on all the other responsibilities, including taking care of the new bees. Due to the fact that all of these bees came from the same mother, the worker bees do not mind taking care of the young. Taking care of the new young bees ensures that their own genes will be passed down because they are all related. These worker bees are putting their relatives first over their own reproduction because they know they all carry the same genes that will be passed down. This is an example of kin selection. Kin selection is a natural biological concept that is ingrained in certain animals' genetic makeup. Kin selection is an altruistic behavior that allows animals to put their relatives before themselves. By aiding their relatives, they are putting themselves at risk, but are also allowing a greater number of their species to live a longer life. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you all have a better understanding of kin selection.